And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Tegiwa BMW M8 GTE Championship on EVOSR TV. You're joined by myself, James Salt, and Tom McMahon in the commentary box. How are you doing, Tom?
I am very well, thank you, Mr. Salt. Good evening, one and all. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Indeed, round 2 at Spa. It's going to be good. We saw Donington last week. That had everything. We had some really good racing. We had some of the guys still getting used to the car and sussing things out. But yeah, very different track in terms of opportunities to overtake, higher speed. This one's going to be good, Tom.
Really looking forward to it. As you said, we've got a lot more open track. In my humble opinion, one of the best tracks in the world. So it should provide some cracking racing. We've got a few changes this week that will challenge the drivers. I'll let you talk everyone through those.
We have indeed. So, them updates. There is going to be a pit stop in this one, whereas we didn't have that at Donington. So the drivers are fueled to 50%, so their fuel will get to a point where there's nothing left, so they need to go into the pits. Whether they take tyres is their choice, but they're certainly going to need some fuel. There's a couple of fast repairs as well, so if the drivers have terminal damage for whatever reason, if the steering's broken, etc., then they can dive in the pits and get the car fixed. I'm pretty sure that's it, but there's 2 of them, and qualifying is an extra 5 minutes, allowing for, I guess, the extra, the length of the lap, which is about 2 minutes 14 we saw in practice was a really good time. Looking at the championship standings, Pete Harrod took victory last time round. Jake Hewlett was second. Rob Baker was third. So you got 15 points for Pete. Jake's on 12. Rob's on 10 points. Tom Metherell for Meraki Racing is in fourth with 9 points. Connor Murphy for Targa Sim Racing with 8 points. Ben Leach, PRS Esports with 7 points. Lewis Bibby for EVOSR in 7th place. He's got 6 points. Anthony Mott as a privateer on 5, then Ben Sharp, Gavin Ranson round out the top 10. So we are qualifying here with 5 minutes and 30 seconds into it, 15 minutes left or so. So we've got Jake Hewlett with a 2:14.901 on pole, and then not far back we've got Pete Harrod, race winner from last time. Who's your money on, Tom, for pole? We've seen Jake was quick at Donington. Do you think he's going to do the same again?
I think the smart money would be on him. He showed really good pace. He's already got a little bit of a gap, but obviously the fact that it's an open qualifying, so obviously slipstream can be quite a big deal around Spa. So you wouldn't put it past if Pete could get there, get a good slipstream off one of the guys. 7/10 back to Rob Baker. That's a stretch, but I know from the practice the guys have been doing. Most of the lap times have been in the 14s, so expect them to get quicker. The tyres will be up to temperature. My screen is full of purple and green, so pretty much everyone's going faster. We'll stay on board, or head on board, with Jake Hewlett as he heads into the bus stop, hard onto the anchors. He set a purple sector. Rob set the fastest. Oh, he might get held up on the exit. A little bit of oversteer to the line. He goes. Does Jake improve? Yes, up to a 14.7. Rob Baker closes in behind.
Yeah, I did notice on the track map we had the number 2 guy and I think the number 3 guy working together. I think that was Pete and Rob. It was, in fact. So there's Rob just on the screen now. Behind is Pete Harrod in 3rd place. And Ben Sharp pops up with a time. He puts in 4th place for the time being. But now if you look at Pete, for example, he's got that toe all the way down the Kemmel Straight.
And Rob's moving around to try and break it. Let's tune in. So as you can see, you've got your timing tower on the left-hand side as per usual. Let's check in with race organizer Luke Sedzikowski. Yet to set a lap. Hopefully this will be his first one. Got a car off to the left-hand side. Through the bus stop he goes.
So Luke yet to set a time, isn't he?
Yes, this should count, though. I think this will be his lap time.
Unless he off-tracked, I presume. It doesn't look like anything's popped up, so it must have off-tracked Tom and
it looks like
denied the lap. Who we got here? We've got Tom Metherell, I believe.
Ewan Marshall.
His teammate from Meraki Racing, just heading into... Is that Blanchimont towards the end of the lap? It is. So he is currently... Where is Ewan Marshall at the moment?
Ewan's 10th.
10th.
His teammate has just gone 3rd, has split Rob Baker and Pete Harrod. So the Meraki boys showing a good turn of speed. Getting out of the bus stop.
A great lap from Tom. And yeah, I mean, some of the guys clearly working together. We've still got Jake Hewlett on the #1 spot. Rob Baker less than 2 temps behind. Tom Metherall snuck in between Rob and Pete to take 3rd.
On board with Adam Shepherd now, currently in 8th. And there's still a bigger time delta between what we saw in just the practice session before we came on air. So expect the times to close up slightly as Adam gets a nice run. Hewlett has improved to a 14.6. Adam Shepherd, does he improve? No improvement. Times struggling to come by. Lewis Bibby, sized a little bit down in 20th position. 5 seconds off the pace, so we know he's got more, and he's... Didn't look like he was attacking too much into the bus stop, it has to be said. So let's see if he's going to open up a lap. And like I did at Donington, let's hop on board for a qualifying lap. So down into last door, into first gear. Didn't trouble the apex too much. Don't get an off track on the left-hand side, plunging down the hill to one of, if not the most famous corner in motorsport. Eau Rouge and Radion. Keep it pinned. I'm pretty sure it'll be flat. That sounded flat to me. Over the hill. Don't get a slow down or an off track. All looking good so far. Along the Kemmel Straight.
I wonder if he's getting a toe there, Tom. Probably too far, do you think?
Maybe a little bit. A little bit. Spot your braking point on the left-hand side. Through the Lacombe chicane. Oh, is this car going to get in his way? No, out of the way. Very nicely done. Down into the Bruxelles hairpin. Horrible corner. Worst corner on the track. But keeps a nice tight line. Get back onto the right-hand side for No Name. Really getting off track on the right-hand side. That looks okay. Down towards Pouon, the double left-hander. Probably flick it down into 4th, I imagine. Yes. Clip the left, run it out a little bit, and then hit the second apex. And this lap, well, it seems to be coming together quite nicely. Through the chicane, fairly fast chicane. Heading now towards the end of the lap, and Stavolo. I think this is actually Stavolo 1 and Stavolo 2. 3rd, keeps it in 3rd, don't run too wide. And now it's just full throttle. Heading towards Blanchimont. I'm really intrigued as to where this lap is going to put Vivi. Will Blanchimont be flat? That is the big question. He's going to hold it in 5th. Pins it. Easy. Down into the bus stop. Don't mess up the lap. Hard onto the anchors. Will take 1st. Clip the right. Clip the left. Power out. Where will that put Lewis Bibby? Was 27th. Moves up to 6th. Good lap.
It's more like it from Bibby. More familiar to seeing him towards the top 10, or certainly in the top 10 towards the front. Starting 6th for the time being. Still got 8 minutes left, so certainly time to get a couple of extra laps in. Who we're watching here is Gavin's finishing the lap, currently in 17th, the number 16 car.
My driver of the day from last week.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we saw Gavin started much lower down than he finished, and that consistency was certainly coming into play there. And that's what we saw, didn't we? You know, last week, Tom, some of the drivers were still getting to grips, no pun intended, with the cars, and the brakes seem to be catching some of the guys out. But you know, Spa's got much more of a flow to it, higher speed, and just, you know, overall, still very familiar track to a lot of the guys. Probably less familiar in terms of real racing experience, given it's not in the UK. But I'm sure some of the guys still raced it in real life. But
I would imagine so.
I think Rob has, in fact, that we're watching.
And just looking, we have 5 drivers yet to set a lap time, and one of the bigger names, I would say, is Rob's real-life teammate, Carl Swift, who had his VR issues last week. Hopefully he's got all of them resolved. And hopefully he can get himself on the board. Because there's no reverse grid, so obviously if you don't set a lap, you are going to be a long way off where you need to be. I think that is Rob bearing down him right behind. Don't think it was a 3-1-3. No, that is Rob Baker right behind. And Carl's backed out of it. So Rob got a really nice slipstream.
Yeah.
Let's see if Carl's going to wind up to uncork another lap, or at least get one on the board as he crosses the line.
And Rob did
Baker,
improve.
Oh, yes, he did. Carl did get a lap down. He went to up to 27th. So at least he's on the board.
So if Carl can follow Rob round now, and like you said, he had a dreadful race last week because of VR issues, and I'm sure he'll be hoping, like you said, for a more comfortable race with less issues. But the race itself is a different story. We've got La Source's turn 1. I think I'm right in saying it's the GP layout, not the endurance one. Is that right, Tom? I can't actually remember.
Yes.
We'll see.
It is. No, it's the Grand Prix layout. So the green lights will show as they come out of the bus stop, whereas the endurance is obviously down the hill. So
it's going to be an interesting start here. Me and you have raced this here on iRacing many times, and turn 1. To be honest, lap 1, certainly for the first 2 sectors, can be very interesting. So let's see how the guys navigate that. But it's a long race as well, 40 minutes. We've got a pit stop as well, a couple of fast repairs. So there's no point in going hell for leather, on lap 1. Better to just, be consistent, like Gavin was last week. Gavin,
I 100% agree with you. Oh, that's an off track for Carl. Connor Sheldon is lurking behind, trying to get into the top 10. 100% agree with you, Mr. Salt. However, those cold tyres through Eau Rouge up the hill, it's usually a recipe for disaster. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get 36 cars all through. I'm not going to say without any damage. I think that would be a bit optimistic. But with only minor damage, so that no one has to duck into the pits to take a fast repair, and so we can have a nice close race. I mean, the top 16 now are separated under 1.5 seconds, and around a big lap like Spa, that's pretty good going.
Is indeed. I mean, I think less than a second's usually pretty good. And like we've seen, some of the guys are getting the tow, some aren't. So it's very encouraging to see. This is getting very busy into the chicane, and it looks like Rob Baker's had to get entirely out of the way there. This is Connor Sheldon, is it, we're watching? It is indeed. He's coming. I don't think he got held up there, but he's currently sitting all right in 11th. Does he improve? He must have done. He's got that top 10 position. He did improve. So with 4 minutes to left. Left. There's not long to go. So
and now we're down to 2 cars who haven't yet to set a lap time. So we've got Kevin Straw and Oliver Sy. I'm going to go with.
Yep.
Apologies if I've completely butchered that. Please correct me by Facebook Messenger. And that goes for all the drivers, please. If we do make an absolute meal of your names, I've done it before for leagues. Please just message us, and then we'll correct it from there.
We are in the iRacing, the Facebook group. So, drop it in there. Pete Harrod, race winner from last time, currently sitting 5th. So, I mean, he's only 4 tenths behind P1 guy. But, he's 5th. I'm sure he'll be hoping to get a little bit closer to the front, and he's still got time to do so. Tom, the guys, will they have the sort of wind down in terms of once the checkered flag goes from this session? Or will it abruptly end the session?
I believe, as it is a open and time-based qualifying, they will be able to complete their lap. So if you cross the line before the checkered flag, you can complete your lap. So it's important for the drivers. Hopefully they know that. It's something I learnt today. So
I think we saw that last week, if I remember rightly.
Yes, we did. And just having a look on the timing screens, if anyone looks like they're improving. Ewan Marshall has been setting some green sectors, which is always good.
Just looking at that timing tower on the left, you've got Lewis Bibby about half a second behind P1, and then there's a pretty big gap of another half a second from Lewis to Johan Ackerman in P8, and then sort of down to, I guess, P14, P15 even. There seems to be a good gaggle of cars there, so I wonder if that.
So down to Gavin Ranson in P19 from P8 is separated by 9/10, and that is classic slipstream train if ever I've seen it. So hopefully there should be a really, and as I think we briefly touched on the point standings, those top 10 are really, really valuable because obviously you get 2 points for finishing from any position from 11th to 30th. If you can manage to get yourself into 10th, 9th, 8th, that's worth its weight in gold when fighting for those championship places. So hopefully a really hotly contested top 10.
Fingers crossed, and like we said, fingers crossed we get through lap 1 without much incidents. Mark Guy currently 12th.
Yes, just improved. That's why we flicked to him. I saw him jump up the standings, so lessens the gap even more. Pete Harrod's off the road, so that lap. So this will be his final shot.
I wonder if that was Pete getting out the way, politely.
Could have been.
The car just went through that. He's probably going to be following now. Pretty closely he is. The number, is it 31 car I think we just saw go through. But Pete Harrod heads out of the source down the hill, following the number 31 car. It was Charles Heath, who's also obviously set a, well, he's got this one opportunity to set another lap time. Where is Charles at the moment? He's in 25th. Runners in this, Tom, we got 37. I think we've actually got more than last week by 1. I think we had, or the same. I think we had a 36, maybe 37.
I think we've got 36 again. I've got one car yet to set a lap time.
Okay. Maybe
we've also got some guys in the pits. Ben Leach, who had a really strong race, and he is somewhere. There he is, rather than looking at the crowd. He's thought, that's enough of that. I'm going to focus on the race. Same with Tom Metherell of Meraki Racing. Rob Baker's gone back to the pits. Lewis Bibby is on a lap. Let's see if he can do anything to get him up from... Now, I would have thought Bibby would have wanted to start higher than 7th. So let's see as he fires out of Stavolo, heading down towards the bus stop, see if he can improve. He did set a purple Sector 1, so if there's any time to do it, it is now.
We've not seen Bibby.
The checkered flag is out.
We've not seen him following anyone, really. I think when we've joined Bibby, as we've done now, there's no one around him, so I just wondered if he's losing out with the lack of a tow, someone to tow him round. But let's see.
It could work in his favour if he can just focus on his own line. And there you go.
P4.
Up to 4th.
Fantastic lap time. And not a second to spare. There's 21 minutes into a 20-minute session. So everyone that we're watching now, Jim Forsyth, currently 15th. Car 203 about to complete a lap. Will he improve? He's currently 15th. Doesn't look like he's done so. He's going to stay 15th.
No improvement.
Anthony Mott in 20th. As we see, is that Pete Harrod?
Pete Harrod. Yes.
Getting on the power a little bit too early.
The line was 20th. Stays 20th, but does improve. I feel Jack Grime must have missed the line by now, so I believe that is the grid. One would assume once that
is Jack ended. The only car out there? He is. It says we've got number 1 car on track by the looks of it on the track map, but I'm not sure if that's a stationary car or just the software not playing ball.
I don't have a number 1 car in the field.
Do we not?
So
we do on the stream. And he's just there.
Oh, there he is. I can't.
Who's that then? Do we know? The ghost car. Is there a number 1 car on this? There isn't. Who's that? Who the hell's that then?
Unknown.
Unknown car.
Unknown.
Safety car.
I mean, Jack's
they've
really
gone now, anyway.
making the most of his.
He's getting screen time. He's getting air time.
Time on track.
Let's talk about Jack, shall we? Jack, I think, got a bit spun round last week. I think we got some contact early on. I do recognise the car and the name. But it wasn't, Jack wasn't fighting for the front, but I do recall some of the conversation afterwards. I think Jack was in quite a quite an action-packed race last week, so I think Jack will be hoping for an easier time this time round. He's currently 23rd. Will he improve? It doesn't look like he has done. He hasn't. Jack was the last car over the line, so that's qualifying complete. Some of the guys have had a nice break before that. They've been set in the pits. But anyway, Jake Hewlett takes pole position from Rob Baker, only 2 tenths behind. And then we've got Ben Leach in 3rd, Lewis Bibby, Rob Baker's teammate, sat directly behind him in 4th place. Tom Metherell for Meraki Racing in 5th. Pete Harrod, race winner in 6th position. Connor Murphy, Johan Ackerman, Ben Sharp, Adam Shepherd in 10th position. Connor Sheldon and Ewan Marshall in 12th position. Mark Guy and Mark Burton, Jim Forsyth and Martin Higginson in 16th. Carl Swift and Tim Darracott in 18th. Martin Moore in 19th. Anthony Mott in 20th. Gavin Ranson, your man from last week, Tom, in 21st. Christopher Paul in 22nd. Jack Grime 23rd. Reese Lewis in 24th. 25th is Charles Heath. Matthew Tidmarsh is in 26th. Oliver Sig in 27th. Alex Richardson in 28th position. Luke, our race organiser, in 29th. Fraser Bradburn in 30th. Liam Davies in 31st. Rodron Vella in 32nd. Alex Kilner in 33rd. Dave Bucky in 34th. Luke Handley and Mike Moss didn't set a lap time, and nor did Kevin Straw, and they take the back row of the grid. That's a long list of names.
But you got through it. Bravo, sir.
Thank you. I'll take a sip of water now. Right. So Jake Hewlett and Rob Baker. Rob with Bibby directly behind him. I wonder if we're going to see them two working together. They are teammates, but we know they both really like to race, so I'm sure that's going to be interesting to watch. It looks like we've got most of the cars. I do see a gap towards the back. Tom, I'm really excited for this one. Turn 1's going to be interesting. Through Eau Rouge, Radion, the long straight.
And yeah, the slipstream up towards Les Combes. That's your best bet if you're going to try and make some moves early on. Who is your bet for who's going to be leading into Les Combes?
I'm going to go Lewis Bibby or Ben Leach. I just think the car sitting at the front, you know, they're punching the hole in the air. We know Bibby and Ben Leach are quick, but then you've got, you know, it's anyone's guess. I've started from 4th here myself in an ARL league that we run, and I was leading by the end of the long straight and into Les Combes. So
good stuff. We've got strategy to look forward to as well. When do you make your pit stop?
Yeah, I mean,
it should be a great race.
We have no insider knowledge on the pit stops either, do we? So we don't really know when they're going to pit. So keep an eye on that. Rob getting extremely close.
No!
This is not what you want. As Jake Hewlett's got a very easy getaway from Lewis Bibby now in 2nd position with Ben Leach in 3rd. No idea what's happened to Rob. I presume he's all the way at the back, but we're going to see turn 1, and we can already hear some cars clinging together behind, but certainly Hewlett through, and so is Bibby as well. Further back, it sounds like everyone's got through relatively okay. We've got a good gaggle of cars heading down towards the bottom of Eau Rouge. As they head up now, and everyone so far is through there, but there is still cars trickling down that hill, so it looks like everyone's got going. And no big smashes just yet, but Jake Hewlett almost a second clear from Lewis Bibby. Tom, what an interesting start what that was.
Oh, carnage. We've still got cars going side by side. Pete Harrod, that's deep. That's a lock-up. That will be a slow. Oh, we've got cars flying off the road. Pete Harrod's going to have a slowdown to try and serve.
Very difficult.
This is absolutely carnage at the start of a 40-minute race. It's a fair old race. I will go back and try and find that as to see what happened. Pete Harrod's still getting shuffled down, and this is bad news in terms of already his championship aspirations. Jake Hewlett is out to 0.8 of a second, and then Lewis Bibby's already got a 1.5 second gap to Ben Leach in 3rd. Dropping, having a look back, there is Rob Baker with a slightly crumpled front bumper. Let me have a look, go back through the timing screen and see if I can see what actually happened.
Down in 13th position now, so yeah, I mean, wow, from the front of the grid, we've got cars going off in the background. So, I don't know, really. I mean, they were incredibly close going into that. And then it all checks up, and the guys just do not consider the middle pedal whatsoever. And
oh, and then he gets a shove. I mean, not the greatest start. We'll analyse that after the race. Back to the action.
At the front,
towards the end of lap 1.
Jake Hewlett, you know, if Jake puts this together, you know, without error, I think it's going to be relatively easy for him, unfortunately. But Bibby's only, what, 7 tenths behind, so he's applying the pressure. Then we've got a gap back to Ben Leach and Johan Ackermann in 3rd and 4th position. But Jake Hewlett takes the lead, or continues to extend his lead. He's completed lap 1. And I'm still looking. Rob Baker still in 13th position.
It could have been worse, I think. It could have been a lot worse. I'm looking at the biggest mover I've got on my screen is Alex Kilner up from the back of the grid, up to 20th. Luke Sedsikowski goes up a few more positions, and this is going to be fun heading down towards Eau Rouge, a pack of 3 cars.
Let's see how they navigate this. So, number 35 car heading in now, and it's going to be a fantastic tow for Matthew Tidmarsh. I think closer behind still is Oliver, our number 24 car, but I think Oliver does have a bit of front end damage. Luke trying to break the tow in front of them.
Absolutely he does.
Looks like Luke's connection this week is a little bit more stable. He was flashing last week, wasn't he? His car was all over the track. Ben Sharp in 7th position. Is that Harrod?
Livery.
It is, isn't it? I don't think we saw that last week. That's Harrod and Metheril, is it? No, it's Ewan Marshall in 9th position. So this is a good gaggle of cars.
Oh, and Pete Harrod's picked up some front end damage as well, maybe from bumping over the grass. I did see him get a little bit of airborne, or air time, I should say. So that will hurt him. Obviously, they can take the fast repair. If they feel it's really hampering them, they can pit early. Obviously, they're limited to 50%, so they do need to wait a little bit of time before the pit window will open to allow them to get to the end without having to stop twice. And that's something that we haven't really spoken about. As you said, we don't really have any inside knowledge over what is going on.
I mean, 50%.
Something to look out for.
Yeah, I think a full run in this car around this track would last about an hour, so I would say around the 25-minute mark would be when we're going to see cars coming in, 25, 30 minutes, something like that.
I think that was the best example I can give you of that damage hampering Pete Harrod. He did not get anywhere near Ben Sharp into the braking zone. Sad, Rob Baker's entered the pits. I have lost him off my... He is there.
I presume his damage is just too... Oh, hello, everyone. I wonder if his damage is just too...
Back.
Yeah, I mean, he's got front and rear damage. Whether it's affected his steering, we should see his car miraculously just turn brand new again, as that's how a race organizer taking a spin. Oh, was that
yes.
assisted?
And Luke is hello everyone again. And again, there we go. Luke's going to get his fast repair. Oh, he's overshot his marks. There you go. There's his boot. He's back. Back at the front.
And I know what that car's doing as well. It's also filling him up and changing all his tyres because he's probably not unticked the boxes.
That was an off-track. Did we mention off-track limits?
We didn't in this round. We did last round. It's 20.
So again, something to keep an eye on, because obviously that's what affected Bibby right at the end of, because he was on course for a podium.
Yeah,
and then
that's
got
right.
demoted to 7th. So it can have a real impact on the race and results.
I mean,
so
Bibby,
something to keep an eye out there.
He's doing a great job. The gap's stabilised at around just over half a second. But now with this long straight coming up, you know, Bibby's very much in with a chance. He's front two as well, pulling away from Ben Leach and Johan Ackermann in 4th position. Although it does look like Metheril as well and Adam Shepherd are in a good battle as well. But let's see. Bibby, no damage on that car, and neither has Jake. Probably one of the only few cars out there with no damage at this point, considering what we saw at the start. Confident on the brakes into the chicane end of the lap as Jake and Bibby come to complete lap 3, heading on to lap 4. We're only 6 minutes into this one, but we've seen quite a bit already. Certainly the start was interesting, and we will have a look back at that at the end of the race. Pete Harrod in 8th position. He's down 2 positions. Mark Guy, he's up 1 position in 12th position. And it's Higginson in front of him as they head into La Source. Down the hill they head, and this is very close for Mark to be following Higginson this close, but he's got front damage again, Tom. So will that be?
It's gonna penalise
on the left. Someone pulling over there. What's going on there? There's a good exit though from Guy. He's heading.
Superb exit, and
so he's pulled alongside, but one of the cars is damaged, one isn't. So, but Mark's got the natural inside line. He should have this move done. And it does indeed. It's a good pass. Good exit out of the source.
Very nicely done.
That puts him into 11th position. He's up 2 positions for him.
I mean, he's going to get some good air. I think Jack... Oh, here's a gaggle of cars heading up. And there you can see Rob make his way back through now with his brand new car. Putting it to good use. And he's going to send... No, Jack Graham, as is his right, chop Scott. He's missing a boot. So you can see they've been in the wars further down the field. And what position is this? 23rd. So I guess, would Rob's target be... I don't think he can get to the end, so he's going to have to stop again. Would his target be top 10?
Well, we know he's quick, and he needs to be very patient and needs to work his way through. But I agree with the top 10, Tom. I don't think anything more than that is probably on the table, to be honest. I think that's potentially going to be... Where is he on track now? So he's just heading out of...
there he is.
The Puon. And I'm just having a look at the top 10 on the track map where they are. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to watch. But side by side with Jack Grime, and luckily gets a move done. I did expect one of the cars to go round then, but it didn't. But that's Rob up to 20 seconds. It's going to be really interesting to watch him, our second place guy, fighting his way through, as we're seeing. Was that a bit of contact? Lewis Bibby, less than half a second, heading down out of the source. This is going to be very close at the end of this.
I was going to say, this is the closest I've seen this.
Yeah.
We've also got Tom Metherell, just, we can flick back, right under the bumper of Adam Shepherd. So 2 moves to watch out for. Here goes Bibby in the slipstream.
Bibby was the perfect distance, actually, going down. You don't want to be too close coming out of the source, because... Oh, he's lifting.
He's lifting.
Interesting.
Looking back, I don't think any lifting is going on here.
This is Metherell going to the outside. You can make the move around the outside if both drivers play nice. That gap's closed off. And we're watching Ben Sharp and Harrod. Was that Harrod round the outside there? I think it might have been. No, or is this Ben Sharp round the outside of him?
Inside. Yes. Harrod making his way forward. Inside for the Bruxelles hairpin, and job done. Now that's really interesting that Bibby was lifting. So potentially trying to save some fuel for a shorter pit stop, or is just feeling at the moment the pace of Hewlett is good enough to just drag him along, get him away from P3 and make his move later on in the race.
So I don't know what the gap back from Jake to Bibby was in qualifying, but obviously, you know, Jake poles hitter, Bibby was in 4th, so there's potentially some lap time difference just in...
I want to say about 3/10.
Yeah, I think Bibby, like we've seen, and you just said, I think he's just happy to sit there for the time being. Half a second gap.
Closest action on track. I mean, he's going to get some really good airtime. It is Rob Baker up the inside of Christopher Paul. Next victim is Alex Kilner. Close action behind that. Anthony Mott chasing down Jack Grime. Jack going slightly wide.
I wonder if Jack's clearly struggling with...
Oh, he stole the dummy! Not quite enough bravery on the brakes.
Yeah, Jack's car's probably the worst looking out there at the moment in terms of damage. From what we've seen, anyway. But it's Anthony Mott, 24th position. He should get this move done relatively easy. Probably before we get to Blanchimont, in fact, as we do see Anthony Mott pulling out onto the left-hand side. And this should be relatively straightforward. I just don't think Jack's got anything to throw back at him. As we see, a bit of apex clip in that. High speed corner heading into the chicane. This is close, but we've seen Bibby lifting on the lap prior to this, so...
That confirms, I would say. And Ben Sharp is right underneath Pete Harrod, and I think he's lifting as well. They're all getting into the act of endurance racing. 12 minutes gone, so just all playing it quite calm, slightly deep through Les Combes. That's going to allow Ewan Marshall all over the back of him and let Pete escape slightly.
Yeah, Ewan Marshall just sitting there patiently. We need to see Ben Sharp close that gap back again on Harrod.
Here's two beaten up cars, and we've got Martin Moore in the VRS.
Yeah, Martin, I think, was one of the big losers from that formation lap catastrophe, we'll call it. I think he got a real whack during that episode, but he's in 16th.
I mean, having in terms of biggest losers, unfortunately, it's Jim Forsyth down in 30th place after qualifying 15th. So he was in that group that we were discussing about being within a few tenths of each other, and sadly just must have got caught up in a really, really messy start.
I mean, his car's looking all right now, so presumably he's taken a pit stop, which has put him all the way back as well. This is Baker, so he's already up to 18th. I think we joined Baker, didn't we, about 24th position when he came out of the pit, something like that. So he's working his way back up.
That sounds... Oh, there's a freebie. Oliver Side off into the kitty litter on the outside.
He needs to wait for a gap. Where is he on track? He's got... There, he should have a clear gap now. There we go.
Here it is, and just too much grass on the inside, and he's going to just make a little light brush with the tyres. That will be fine. Ben Sharp is in the pits.
So
that seems early.
Ben was going really well. So I can't imagine that's for damage repair. Is this a scheduled pit stop, we presume? But with 14 minutes gone, I mean, has the fuel window opened? Not entirely sure. It may have done.
Yeah, again, we're not privy to that information, but I wonder if that's a bit too early, because can he make 25 minutes? Oh, maybe.
So that's Baker just behind him now. That's interesting to see. So Baker still, we think, needs to stop again.
Rob will have to stop again. That was too early for that. He is up to 17th, and he's going to have an almighty run on Ben Sharp as they charge up the hill. But I think he's going to run out of straight unless he's feeling brave on the middle pedal. And he is.
Certainly having a look. Looks like he's got the move done.
Good move.
I presume Sharp didn't take tyres. You shouldn't need to on a 40-minute race. So you shouldn't be dealing with colder tyres. I'm just thinking as well, for these two drivers, they're kind of in a bit of a separate race at this point. But they don't want to slow each other down. That was a huge crash, you're right. Who was that?
Huge crash. That was...
Oh dear.
No.
That's one of the... Tom Metherell. Tom was...
Yeah,
he was
and
like
Adam
in the top 10. Oh dear.
Yeah, they're going side by side. And they just... That's... Oh dear. And...
Pinned him up against the wall.
And then they've got cars in the track. He's reversing onto the...
As we see another spinner.
And
there's cars.
Oh my goodness. I mean, that is... It's not great to see. We never like to see that heavy contact. Hopefully both drivers can get back to the pits.
That car's crabbing. That car's really crabbing.
Gavin's got no bumper and goes straight through. Cracking commitment.
That's how you do it. When you've got no front bumper,
you
don't need to worry about that, do you? You know, front bumper, just plough on, literally.
And we've got Rob onto the back of Alex Richardson now, going up the inside into the bus stop, and that is position 14 for Mr. Baker. And so he's obviously got those guys involved in that instance. That's two positions. So top 10 is definitely on. That should be, I think, Adam Shepherd might get lucky here. The fact he can use his fast repair.
Yeah. The pit window
And
we think
then-
has opened
yeah.
then. Yeah. So all is not lost.
Still close up at the front. The person who's actually seems to be a little bit closer. Yeah, last time around, Ben Leach took over a second out of the leaders.
Interesting. Wow.
It might have been that little bit of traffic that he's got behind Luke Hanley. Potentially may have just a bit of traffic holding the leaders up. But he's not far away, only 2.7 behind Bibby. I mean, the one thing we didn't discuss really is obviously at Donington there was traffic everywhere.
Yeah.
Much bigger track. Traffic shouldn't be so much of an issue because I think we saw, was it 3 or 4 lead changes due to
Back markers, yeah.
back markers, and not maybe. I think only one we could say maybe was sort of a fault. The other ones were kind of just, it was a busy track. They were racing, leaders were racing. Incidents happen type thing. Never want to see it, but I couldn't over apportion too much blame. This is the closest battle on track, along with Ben Sharp following Rob. Now, Rob's got a 1.7 second gap to make up to Martin Moore, and then it's 11 seconds up to the top 10, so we'll then get an idea of what sort of pace Rob's got. Ben Leach again, only a 10th off Bibby's time. Bibby's again going to sit in that slipstream.
Good lap from Johan as well in 4th position.
Very good. There's Pete Harrod,
Yeah.
setting his best lap of the race.
So Connor Sheldon as well in 7th position. It's a really good result so far for him. Prospered from others racing hard that we saw.
Yeah, up 4 spots.
And he will obviously, he'll pit and take a fast repair because his car's not looking the best either. But he's in 7th nonetheless, so a really good start of the race for him, up 4 positions. We saw Connor did take that 10th place, I believe, at the very end of qualifying. And he just needs to keep his car out of the wall, I guess, and just keep doing what he's doing.
So you can see I've just dug into our little bit of software. So now you can see the guys who have stopped. And so I think Ben Sharp is at the front of the queue of people who don't need to stop again. So that's something to watch depending on his pace. And if he can just follow Rob with the slipstream, he could set some really good lap times. Clear air, get his head down and see, because he was just behind Pete Harrod, wasn't he?
I was going to say, where did Ben pit from?
He was about a second behind Pete Harrod. So something to watch out for is when the top guys start making their pits, where does Ben sort of filter back in, moving to the entertainment of the race at the moment? The man on the charge, Rob Baker.
That's Martin Moore in front of him. And then, like you said, it's a full 12.2 seconds or so, 12.5 seconds up the road. Mark Guy in 10th position, so...
Looking again back through. I feel that now that we gave Jack some airtime, he just is always on our screens, because again, he's, I think, having a cracking race with Liam Davies in front. They've been inseparable pretty much every time we've cut to them.
I wonder if Jack's better in the corners, or but his downfall. I would say better in the corners. That looks, as the commentator's curse comes into play, and he's put sand all over the track. Sorry, Jack, I shouldn't open my mouth. He's joining the track. I should be all right. He's still off the racing line. As Bibby and Jake Hewlett, we've seen Bibby lifting. I just wonder if Bibby's just happy to do this until the last lap, and then he's going to make a lunge somewhere and try and defend for his life.
I think it's more he's eyeing up a shorter pit stop.
Yeah. It could be interesting to see if Jake can pass Bibby, if that is the case, and Bibby comes out in front in the pits. But who knows at this point? I do think Jake's the quicker of the two, but I do think the obviously the toe's there for Bibby. But not that Bibby's slow. Bibby's an extraordinary quick driver. But
I mean, if you're substantially quicker than a driver behind you, you can break the toe. So being in the toe like this, it's no mean feat, and it also relies on Bibby can't make one mistake. If he makes a mistake and drops half a second outside a second, if someone's got a 2/3 advantage on you, then you're pretty much done for. So this is fantastic racing that we're seeing at the top. Two guys not making mistakes, pumping in consistent lap times. It's great to see. Heading back, Ben Sharp's close right in to Rob Baker. And this is really bad for Ben because he needs clear air, because all the time that he's fighting, the guys ahead are going to just start to eke away. So he needs...
And Rob's showing all the, showing certainly all of his car in the rear mirrors for Martin Moore in front of him. But like you said, this isn't good for neither of these drivers. Let's have a look if Rob sends a dummy. Did it?
Oh,
oh dear. That looked like Martin just closed the door, I guess. I think that was one move too many, was it?
I would agree with you there. We'll have a look back at it. To me, that looked like two moves.
Well, Ben Sharp got through and he's more or less away. And unfortunately, the car at the back is now Rob. But I don't think they're damaged as such. We certainly saw contact, but if we have a look back at Martin and Rob now. Unless he just didn't see him. He has got a bit of damage, hasn't he?
A little bit further back than that. Again, something to look back on.
Let's go live with these two, because I don't think this is over just yet. We saw them going... Oh, Rob's pitting. So this is scheduled. And Martin's gone round.
If he's got two fast repairs, did Rob just get a slowdown?
Oh, I don't know what's going on, to be honest. I think he put the handbrake on. Hi, everyone.
They're there. Did he just speed in the pits?
He might have done. He might have done. He must have been pretty frustrated, given the start of the race that he had, given that contact with Martin Moore that we just saw. Yeah, I mean, we'll know. What will this be typically, Tom? About 10 seconds standing still to fill it up a little bit?
So, yeah, 12. We've got 12, 13 seconds, and this has gone past that. I have a feeling Rob got a speeding in the pits, because there goes up more drivers. That is not what he wanted to see. Back to the front. And again, Bibby sitting pretty. Closest guys on track is Gavin, minus his front bumper, and showing some great commitment when he got past, was it Adam Shepherd? I think it was. Has closed in to Mark Guy. Oh, there's a car up in the background.
I think that's Handley. It's already a lap down or two.
And I'm just having a look at last lap times. So Ewan Marshall is lapping. I'm just, in terms of Ben Sharp's progress, this is kind of an interesting phase of the race as to what progress he can make now that he's got clear air, because he's now in that gap that we mentioned. He's got that 11-second gap up to these guys. Carl Swift dropped to the back of the field and is now back to where he started. So he's having a great recovery drive up to 17th. Rob is back out now, but his pit lane time, so the average pit lane time here is sped in the pits.
Oh dear. A race that's gone from bad to worse, unfortunately.
It's awful.
He was on the comeback, wasn't he? He was doing his best, and then, yeah, it's not what you want to see. Matthew Tidmarsh in 12th.
Pit stops very much happening now.
Yeah, we see quite a few of the guys in the pits. Looks like the battle for the top 10. Mark Guy, Martin Moore, Gavin Ranson's in the pits as we're watching him. I think Gavin pitted from 10th, was it? But who knows? Let's have a look at how the pits sort of, change things up. Ben Sharp's now up to 9th. We think Ben was the earliest pitter of the lot. It's just Ben Sharp heading into the Coombs. Currently running 9th. I mean, he's up. Well, sorry, I say he's up. He's actually in the same position he started, so it's actually not bad. Still in 9th. Bibby and Jake Hewlett extending the track limits there, I think.
I would agree with you as well. But this must be coming right up to the pit stop. So this will be interesting of who blinks first. Can Bibby go another lap? Do they come in at the same time and Bibby short fuels, doesn't need to put as much in. Let's have a look.
Yeah, I
both in together.
I did think Bibby was going to do that. I think Jake's such a good sighter for Bibby just to follow. You can often use the guy in front as a, as a guider, and I think it's quite easy to be distracted when you're actually running on your own.
Here we go.
Just having a look as well where Ben Sharp will come out. Now that if you look at the top 6 cars are all in the pit lane now, so top 8. So that's it. This is the lap where I don't think there's a lap left. What's going on behind? 3-point turn. As Bibby comes out directly behind Jake Hewlett. So this is now
as you were.
This is now 12 minutes to the end of the race, and if Bibby's got anything to play, he needs to play it in this 13 minutes to get in front of Jake Hewlett. But we'll see how that one unfolds.
Yeah, we had. I think No, it wasn't. Yeah, there was a car reversing, so clearly missed.
Yes, there was. Oh, it's Ben. Was it Ben? I'm sure Ben was the guy that was just reversing and doing a bit of a 3-point turn.
I'm trying to spot their livery.
Who knows?
There's
what on earth was going on there?
Faced in the wrong way. I don't think it was any of the leaders. Connor Sheldon's got a brand new car. Connor Murphy's got a brand new car. Everyone's. So Ben is back to 6th. Pete Harrod has stopped. No, it wasn't Pete. I don't know who it was. You've got Ewan and... Has Ewan jumped Johan in the stops? I think he has. Ewan's up 8 spots. So cracking race from him. Moving through the field, avoiding carnage. And believe it or not, we've only got 11 minutes left.
So Ben Sharp as well up to 6th position. But a bit of a gap. But yeah, Ewan Marshall, fantastic for him. 4th position. And like you said, up 8. Who is Ewan 8th place? I'm just saying, is he the biggest mover so far?
Not the overall biggest mover goes to this man, Mike Moss, up 15 spots from 36th on the grid.
I don't think Mike set a lap time, did he? If I remember rightly, I think he started at the back
row. So that's his badge of honour at the moment. In terms of top 10, yes, biggest mover, Ben Leach. That's who it was.
It was Ben. So Ben was running at the time. It was
3rd.
Yeah, it was about 3.5, 4 seconds behind Bibby and Hewlett, P1 and P2.
Oh, it's a costly mistake because he's dropped way down. Yeah, having a look here, his pit lane time 1 minute and 3 seconds compared to the leaders who are 41 seconds.
I wonder if just thinking about it, I know he made the mistake in terms of the angle that he actually pitted, but also I wonder if anyone else got a speed in the pits penalty. It's just something to consider. We know Rob obviously did. Where is Rob running actually? Rob's actually in 16th.
Bibby's got to slow down.
Oh, it must have been over the top of Eau Rouge.
Yeah. That is what I was talking about in terms of a mistake. One mistake, and it's a big slowdown if you get it there. And that, I'm not going to say what I was going to say for fear of the commentators.
Oh, he's pushing. Bibby's pushing, but he caught it.
That was Carl Swift off in front, I think, as we were going down. Both?
They're synchronised. I think Bibby clearly caught it a little bit better than Carl did. Carl was having a great race. He's still having a good race. I know he's not. He's now down in 28th. What's happened there? We saw Carl was having
another
a much better race.
tops. He's pitted twice.
Ah, interesting.
So he must have pitted at the beginning of the race.
Yeah.
Worked his way through while other people started to drop off, but then he's made his pit stop as well.
Well, for the championship, Pete Harrod in 3rd position. It's kind of damn his limitation. It's a really good...
It's a good recovery.
Yeah, up 3 positions. Ewan Marshall as well, having a fantastic race. Ewan, I guess, just looking at his car, I don't think we saw Ewan involved in any. I'm going to say first lap, but it was formation lap, wasn't it? Trouble. Anyway, I think he got away with that. I think his teammate, on the other hand, which I think is Metheril, if I'm right in saying,
I think
get
has
caught
retired.
up. Yeah.
Yes, Tom Metheril is out of this motor race.
Yeah, and it was Tom Metheril that was it Tom that was involved in this sort of being pinned up against the wall scenario that we saw?
Yes, that was him and Adam Shepherd.
Yes, that's right, yeah. Whereas...
And may have maybe towed back, didn't feel he could drive it back, and that cost you a lot of time.
Yeah, it does
indeed. Most eventful race goes to this man. This has been, from bad to worse to awful to somehow in 16th. Oh, Rob. And then you... Oh.
He's just had enough. He's had enough. Not today.
Well...
Oh, Rob. What could have been?
I just did see, though, Pete Harrod chucked in his best lap of the race. Only man in the 2-minute 15s. So he's not... I completely lie, because we had Ben Leach on a 14.9.
Let's have a look at Ewan Marshall and Johan. They are the closest, I believe, on track, and they were fighting into... Well, down the long straight.
Johan's got back past. Here it is. It's going to be around the outside into Lecom. Late on the brakes.
It's a really nice move. Really nice move. And let's see what Marshall's got to throw back at him. I mean, half a second is a gap. I wonder if just Johan's the quicker guy at this point. It does seem to be extending the gap.
Just trying to have a look in terms of pit lane time. Yes, Johan's pit was 8 seconds longer than Ewan Marshall. That could have been a missed your pit box, had to reverse, all that kind of shenanigans. So with the pit stops causing a bit of havoc, it is something for the drivers to really practice those pit entries, don't get speeding in the pits. It's all those added elements that can make or break a race, really.
It's like Johan's driving really well. Just looking at... It just seems to be pushing the car to the edge of grip in a lot of these corners that I've just been watching. And he's... I know Marshall behind him is obviously in the tow and staying within that tow, but this is the closest action on track, and it's effectively the battle for P4, P5. Ben Sharp in 6th position. Connor Murphy. I think Connor's had a relatively clean race. He started in 7th and he's still in 7th. Connor Sheldon in 8th also had a good race, in fact, up 3 positions into the top 10, currently 8th. We saw Connor with got a bit of damage early on, but the fast repair has worked for him. And he's in 8th position. And that's Grime going through, but I think a lap down. And I presume Grime has got a better looking car now. He does, he's got a boot
now.
He does. The shopping's not flying out the back of it.
Mike Moss is now up 17 spots. And so, just having a look in terms of... So I guess the biggest loser today will be Tom Metheril, who scored well in the first round. So that's fairly a costly incident that he got involved with there. But his teammate, Ewan Marshall, representing very, very nicely. And this, as you said, it is very much the closest fight on track. Can't quite close that half-second gap, though.
It must have been a really good exit out at the source for Ackerman to make that pass. Ewan's certainly not slow, and he's staying within the second that he needs to do to get the tow. And I think he's just, again, I'm just looking at the sort of body language of the car of Ackerman in front. He just seems to be a little bit more aggressive. It's certainly, he's quick, but it looks like Ewan Marshall is a little bit smoother on the steering.
I think what I'm picking up here is Johan is, he's got the front end hooked up a lot nicer. You can see, and the fixed setup is an understeery setup on the BMW. but it just seems that his front end is just hooked up a little bit nicer, can get it pointing where he wants, whereas he was just dealing with a little bit of understeer mid-corner. As I say that, both of them nail the bus stop, very, very nice, but gap nearly out to 7/10 out of a fight that is brewing, and we're going to just cut away from these guys for a little bit, is the man on the comeback trail. Ben Leach is catching Connor Sheldon, who is catching Connor Murphy.
Just looking at the timing as well, we'll see this one and another, I believe, depending on where the front two are. In fact, they're just in... yeah, here we go. So
yes, he'll get one.
Yeah, one more after this.
One more after this.
So, still Ewan Marshall is closest on track to Johan Ackermann. Bibby, unfortunately, I mean, I think he must have had another mistake because he was about 4 or 5 seconds, but now it's closer to 10.
His last lap was a 2:20 point. Oh, there's another mistake.
I mean,
tires will be giving up. Just check in. 32-degree track temp. So that's just off the track. I mean, he's got not a lot of pressure from behind, so I mean, he can afford to do a bit of lawn mowing as long as his instants aren't too high.
Still Ewan Marshall in 5th position, trying to get the better of Johan Ackermann in front of him. And it's Ewan of Meraki Racing, but it's going to be a, despite 5th at this point, it's still a strong position, points for the top 10. I think he had a good rate. Did he have a good rate? I can't remember. Let's have a look at the actual results as they of the championship standings at the moment. What have we got? We saw them at the start.
I mean, I can bring them up onto the screen if you want.
No, it's his teammate Tom Metherell, the other Meraki racer, that's in 4th position at the moment after round 1.
Just there. So Connor has got the gap to his namesake. Under a second, just about. Ben Leach is... I don't think Ben's going to have enough time, and I don't know if Connor's going to have enough time. 9/10. Ewan is very close. I think Johan made a slight mistake into the bus stop, and this is going to be his best opportunity.
And he's got traffic as well. Is that traffic? Oh, that's close. That is traffic. That's Kevin Straw in front, the number 21 car. And at 3:10, this is actually like you don't want to be too close, too early down here. So this is a good gap to get, and it should. This is where it comes into effect for the uphill. But I just wondered that
Johan got a great run.
He's also got the tow from the guy in front as well, Kevin Straw. Kevin moves out of the way. And if that car wasn't there, I think that could have been a lot more interesting with that 3/10 gap. Kevin politely moving out of the way. Good man. Also, the gap with Connor Sheldon and Connor Murphy is less than a second as well. It's one to watch. Jake Hewlett, 11 seconds now the gap. So a dominant performance. Was under pressure from Lewis Bibby for the majority of the race, or a good 2/3 of the race. He's on the final lap now, but yeah, very dominant performance, Tom. He's currently sitting in P2, but with Pete Harrod in currently sitting in P2 of the championship. Pete Harrod in 1st position, but Pete's in 3rd, so still good news for him.
So we'll take the championship lead, is that right? Based on that?
I believe so, yeah, by 1 point, I think. But yeah, fantastic performance from him, and showing why he's over a 6,000i rating, I guess. Very consistent, very quick, done everything he wanted to and needed to.
Brilliant performance.
Nailed the pit stop, no errors. Fantastic job, Jake, well done. Congratulations on the victory of race 2. As Lewis Bibby heads out of the chicane, and he's going to pick up a solid 2nd position. It may have been the best that he could have got anyway, Tom. We saw that he was there, very much there. Ewan Marshall's going to take 5th as Johan Ackermann retains that 4th position, and a good move from him to get that move done. Connor Sheldon is pushing Connor Murphy over the line, and it did close the gap.
Oh!
I'm just having a look what's going on there. So we got...
Did he get
Was it
Ben
Ben
Sharp on the line?
Connor Murphy's got Ben Sharp somehow. And I would have to have a look back at that, but I don't think Ben Sharp was 7th going on to the last lap, and I'm pretty sure... I'm not
Did
sure what
he
happened
run
there.
out of fuel?
Potentially, yeah. Was he coasting? You have to go on board and
Yeah.
listen to the car, I guess. Oof.
That'll be something that we'll touch base with.
Has Gavin Ranson got a bumper on this now? He does. But 14th position for Gavin Ranson, up 7 positions. Again, showing a really good performance. Yeah, I mean, he's going to take 14th position, a good, solid position from him. Alex Kilner. Is Alex the last car on the track, isn't he? He must have just crossed the line.
He did. Yeah, he just was not lapped.
Yeah. It looks like 15th and 16th are just completing their lap. They are Alex Richardson, and just in front of him, Anthony Mott. So Richardson also up 12 positions, Anthony Mott up 5.
So the biggest mover, after all is said and done, was Kevin Straw from the back of the grid, up from 37th up to 22nd, and obviously gains points.
Nice.
So started outside the points, gains points there. Alex Kilner making his way round. That's Jake on his in lap. But yeah, Alex is definitely not finished, so I don't quite know how that's worked, that he's now re-overtaken Jake on the in lap, but there you go.
Someone needs to tell, yeah, I don't know, maybe he didn't need to do this lap, who knows? He's not giving up. It was a good race, Tom. We do need to have a look back at the very, very start, because that just changed things up massively. I think we were expecting 3 or 4 or even 5 or 6 cars heading down, down the hill, but a good job from Alex flashing the lights there. Good job, dude. But yeah, the very start of the race we saw kind of changed a lot of how the race panned out. The big loser out of that, Rob Baker. But let's have a look at that shortly. Jake Hewlett takes the win at round 2. The Tegiwa BMW M8 GTE Championship, with Lewis Bibby in 2nd and Pete Harrod in 3rd position. Johan Ackerman and Ewan Marshall, take P4 and P5, with Connor Murphy just pipping Ben Sharp, we believe, at the line for 6th position. Ben in 7th. With Connor Sheldon, a solid performance from him in 8th position. Ben Leach and Adam Shepherd round out the top 10. Tom, I know you've got a long way to scroll back to the start of the race. Give us a shout when you're ready.
We are here.
We
are here. So let me just get rid of that. Right.
So I just wonder if there's netcode, first of all.
Yes, I have a feeling that we are going to see. Now it's going to be. So here we go.
Because we hear the contact. Yeah, we hear the contact, but I don't really see 2 cars coming together. I don't know. So who are we on board with here, by the way?
So this is Ben Leach.
So does Ben go into the back of there?
So he.
Oh no, Ben.
That's
massive netcode.
Yeah.
So Ben tags Rob Baker there, despite there being about 2 foot of air between them.
Jake is so lucky he gets through that.
Yeah. And then obviously Rob just a bit, but actually going into this, if you actually rewind, going into there, I was already thinking they're very close, like super close. So and I don't think Rob had the opportunity. Rob didn't need to do anything there because he was kind of pushed up on the left-hand side anyway. And then it just got very, very close. And Bibby, if you look at Bibby, for example, he's completely miles away from any of this.
I'm just wondering if this is. That's not netcode. Or is that? Oh, I don't know.
I have no idea what you mean. Leach going into the back of.
Yeah, that looks really close. I think but that is a definite netcode there.
Yeah. I just want,
Sadly,
yeah. And then if we stay on board with Rob and well, actually, so Ben Leach kind of got through.
but then you're
Yeah,
going to see this
and
horrible checkup,
yeah, massively checks up. It is the
which under
startup spa, and we do see that. It's not the best, layout to start on this track.
I mean, got about 4 cars just ploughing into each other.
And at that point, I know just looking at Rob as well. So Rob's back on the track at this point, and I think does he get rear-ended again?
I mean, it's green flag racing now.
So now
You're going to
he's
get Carl in the Red Bull is then going to give
Yeah.
Rob a shove. We've got 3 wide. They've got someone being spun round. I mean, it is a tricky start.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got 2 cars firing off into the wall. That's Jack Grime, lost his boot already, ended up in the wall. We've got a car cutting across. Oh, dearie me.
I think we expected first lap drama, fair enough, but we didn't get over the start finish line.
but it was all started off by netcode.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
And then I want to try and find the incident between. Was it Tom Metherell?
Oh, Tom Metherell, and yeah, it will have been.
That's not it, but you're going to get a nice slow motion of that.
We can barely see the cars are that far away. Get your
Just
binoculars
trying to
out.
See how many.
Was it Adam? It was Adam Shepherd, wasn't it? And Metherell, I believe.
Yes, let me have a look. I think I just saw it on my event tracker. It's not playing ball. I know as soon as I say I can't find it, I will find it, but I'm struggling to
find it.
I can only apologise. I cannot find the incident.
Well, let's talk about next week.
Indeed.
Next week we are at Silverstone, but the old layout, the International, I believe. Is that right? Or is it? I'm pretty sure it's Silverstone International is the older layout. So again, a track which is very familiar to the guys. Although, again, been the old layout, who knows? Maybe some have not drove it, or some have. A week after that is going to be Alton Park International. Again, another UK track, and Snetterton in round 5. So Spa, where we're currently at, is the only one overseas. Are we looking? What are you looking for, Tom? Have you broken it?
It seems quite broken at the moment.
It's quite broken.
But that's why it was a nice transition from yourself to discuss next week, which I am already really looking forward to. I'll gather up the data. We'll put in the standings. As we mentioned, I believe now Jake Hewlett has taken top spot in the standings with Pete Harrod close behind. That's a good round for Lewis Bibby as well. So all to play for.
Yeah, all to play for indeed.
2 rounds.
Bibby will be up there as well. Tom Metherell won't be. He's still going to have some points, obviously, but not the best for him. Conor Murphy was 5th going into this race, so he's picked up some more points, so good for him. Yeah, it's going to be exciting next week, and hopefully the guys will have a smoother start of the race. But it is the old layout, Tom, is that right? Or is it the new layout?
I'm not sure.
Pretty sure Silverstone International is the old layout on this, but we'll double check on that. It's Silverstone anyway, whatever layout. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hope you can join us there, guys. And if you're not subscribing, do drop us a subscribe. And other than that, Tom, thanks for joining me as usual. I'll see you next week.